I like how it ends with him being like, I guess I'm just a galactic yo-yo.
Yeah, he says that, and he says it in the most kind of, I don't know, it's just the way he says it and kind of the face he makes as he says it. It's just, and then just immediate cut to the credits.
Yeah.
It almost seems like, it's almost like shot and edited as though it's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Because it's the quick cut to the credits. It's like, oh no, how's he gonna get out of this one?
How is he gonna stop being a yo-yo? I'm Tom Dickinson. And I'm Louis Midas. And this is The Cloister Room, a podcast about Doctor Who and other things.
What did you think of the Claws of Axos?
I thought it was pretty good.
I like it too. I think it's good. It's good. Good stuff. Good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're in agreement.
Well, okay then.
But yeah, I liked kind of like the premise. I liked the monster kind of thing that it was like, or rather, I liked the kind of like technology that it was like this organic thingy.
Yeah. It was just this single entity that just needed to eat.
Yeah, I like it. I like this kind of idea.
I like how weird all the alien stuff looks.
Yeah,
it's just a very interesting sort of style, sort of aesthetic style that kind of it stands out among some other Doctor Who monsters who are just like on spaceships with like corridors, lots of corridors.
Yeah, I like the gold guys, whatever they were. I did watch this while I was kind of sick and I was on cold medicine, so I don't really know what I watched.
Oh.
But I'm just kind of going off of memory.
Well, there were in fact gold guys.
Right. Well, it was more that I couldn't remember their name or whatever, if they were called something. Oh wait, no, they were Axonites, weren't they?
I believe Axonite was the mineral.
No, yes.
That they were peddling. And they were referred
right.
to as Axons.
Oh, they were? Okay.
Yeah, but also the big, weird-looking monsters that looked like a pile of stuff. Those were also Axons. They were just, because they're the same thing. They're all...
Right.
It's all one and the same.
It is all one in the same. But yeah, those were cool. I liked that whatever thing they had going on with their eyes. That was freaky, but kind of cool. And actually, it's funny because there's this one part where there's like one of them is like talking through like a monitor or something, and there's like this weird thing they do where it's kind of like his head's rotating, and like it's switching between two like sort of I don't know what it was, but they did this cool thing with it, and I just liked it. I don't know, it's not at all interesting, I guess. It sounded more interesting in my head before I started talking about it.
It's fine.
Once again, I could have just been fascinated with this because I was just under the influence of, a ton of acetaminophen.
I feel like a certain amount of drugs may enhance this story, but I also want to warn you of the dangers of acetaminophen overdose.
No,
this has been in the news a lot lately, actually.
No, it's real. It is real.
The fact that acetaminophen, when taken in the recommended dose, is perfectly safe, but just a very small margin over the recommended dose is potentially lethal and can cause serious liver damage.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I know.
You're aware of all this?
I'm well aware.
Okay.
No, I read all the little directions on the packaging, even when I know it already.
Okay, because this has become a subject of major controversy quite recently in the news, and they did a whole thing on This American Life about it, and that has nothing to do with the Claws of Axos.
No, but it's a good PSA.
Yes, I was a little worried there for a moment that you might have done your liver a disservice.
Yes, my my liver could be dying on me at this very moment, and I wouldn't know, because the early signs are sometimes, like, not even noticeable, and then you don't know until it's too late. And I could be there. I could be there right now.
You could.
It could be too late for me. This could be the final podcast before I slip into a coma.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Well, so let's get to it then. I'm guessing that this happens pretty early on in the Third Doctor's run.
Well, it's in season 8.
Okay, I don't know what that... when did he start?
Season 7.
Oh, okay. Well, it seemed kind of early. I don't know. It seemed like there were... I don't know, because it was something like... I guess it was that one character, and I should really write down these names, but it was that guy with the mustache who wasn't the Brigadier.
Chin?
Yeah, Chin. That's an odd name. Yeah, Chin seemed to be concerned about who the Doctor was and didn't seem to know. And...
Oh, well, that's really always the case.
Oh, okay. Chin in general? Is he a recurring character, or...?
Oh, no. I mean...
Just people.
Just other people. The Brigadier often has to explain to some other person that he's working with who the Doctor is and establish that, yeah, he's a bit weird, and we don't always think he's kind of weird and insane, but you kind of gotta go with what he says because there's not much of a choice.
Okay, all right. So this is pretty run of the mill. I like this story also because I don't feel like I've seen too much of the Third Doctor in action with UNIT, like stuck to Earth. It seems like when we've come up with this in our randomizer, it's always been like, or very often it's the Third Doctor being whisked away to somewhere, either by the will of the Time Lords or because he's tinkering with the TARDIS.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I feel like this is the first one where we see him actually sticking around with UNIT. With the exception of, I guess you could say Planet of the Spiders took place on Earth mostly.
Yeah. So this is a proper, it's a UNIT story where UNIT is called in to deal with a situation, and the Doctor is there in a capacity as, their advisor.
Yeah, he is, and he does that job.
Mm-hmm. He has his job, and
he
does it.
Actually, this kind of reminded me. Maybe it's partially because of UNIT's involvement, but it kind of reminded me of Sontaran Stratagem. Mostly just because there was this like gifted sort of technology that turns out to be not what it seems, and it's actually trying to take advantage of the Earth.
Yeah, there is that kind of element to it where it's, but one of the big differences is, like, in the Sontaran Stratagem, it's like a real thing almost, like, because it's it's like a GPS basically.
Yeah.
That also has to do with emissions, which doesn't make any sense. But it's and it's already in place around the world by the time the Doctor shows up. Whereas this is like the promise of a sci-fi miracle futuristic thingy that sort of comes up in this story and then never really gets distributed around the world. That's true.
So yeah, only in some respects is it like Sontaran Stratagem.
In some, but not others.
Yes.
Do you know very much about bloodhounds?
Bloodhounds. No.
Okay. Because there's a very peculiar dialogue exchange that I thought was very peculiar anyway. Maybe this is like a thing that I just am not getting. Mm-hmm. But where you know that the one American guy, Bill.
Yeah.
So I think this is in the 4th episode. Joe tells him, "You look like a disappointed bloodhound," and he says, "All bloodhounds look disappointed. It's an occupational hazard."
I didn't think too much about that dialogue.
I just thought it was the strangest thing. Maybe that's an old saying about, like, all dogs go to heaven, all bloodhounds look disappointed when they get there, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do see it. Like, okay, so I can totally get, like, I can picture in my mind, like, the face of a bloodhound, and I can't imagine that. I mean, like, it does look, in my mind, to be disappointed about something. So, I don't think it's... I think, that kind of works. It's, like, built in. Like, I get it. I get that. I'm not sure where the occupation comes from.
I just did a Google image search on bloodhound, and I'm not really getting disappointed.
What do you think?
Just, like, given up. Like, there was never really any anticipation to begin with.
This is very zen.
No, not even that. Just, like, completely worn down, defeated. just there was never any hope to start with, and there never will be. Just very defeatist.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
if I had been watching with the info subtitles, I would have gotten some context for that.
maybe they were just kind of hoping that this would catch on as a thing. Like they're trying to make it a thing.
Like Google Plus.
Exactly like Google Plus.
So, what did you think of the Master?
I liked him. It seems like every time I see the Roger Delgado Master, I really like him.
He's just fun.
He is fun.
I do like the whole thing where they work together in this story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of neat.
And it's I find it kind of funny that like he's very like scheming and sort of devious, but like when the Doctor kind of tricks him, it's like pretends that they're gonna go off and be evil Time Lords together. He seems genuinely confused and doesn't understand what's going on. He's like, what's this? Why have we materialized on the Axon ship?
I don't know. I think he was just really kind of hoping. I think for a brief fleeting moment, he was just really, really happy that the Doctor was finally getting it. He was just finally on the same page as him. He was like, yes, we can go and be evil. And he just really wanted it to be true.
If only.
If only. But yeah. I really like the Roger Delgado Master.
He's not as like over the top as the Anthony Ainley one.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's kind of over the top, but in sort of a different way. Like he's more like cold and calculating and scheming as opposed to like cackling and gloating. Yeah. Although he does gloat a little bit and cackle a little bit, but not as much.
You know something I do like about the Master that I sort of like feel like, I don't know, accentuates his evilness is like the hypnosis thing that he does.
Oh yes.
And I like that. I think that that's something that they should bring back if they bring back the Master. Like, I mean, like I guess you could argue that the John Sim Master kind of had a hypnosis thing going on, kinda. With the whole
the Archangel Network, I think that was sort of. I think the Doctor makes a comment in one of those episodes where he says something like, "Oh, he always was hypnotic" or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see that brought back.
Well, I'd like to see not only that but also the tissue compression eliminator.
Oh, of course, you gotta.
They didn't do that for John Sim so far.
No, they didn't. No, they even did a thing where he had to, like, absorb massive quantities of food. And you'd think, like, if he could compress that food, if you could, like, compress that food's tissue, maybe...
And eliminate it.
Right. Oh, maybe he became the tissue compression eliminator. Because he was eliminating tissue.
Wow.
By eating it.
That's deep.
He was compressing it inside him. Well, because he didn't grow any larger, so you got to figure he was compressing it with all he ate.
The tissue compression eliminator was inside him all along.
Yes, I think that's what we have to read into it. Actually, wait, was the tissue compression eliminator in this? Was that what he was wielding?
It wasn't. It was just.
It was just like a okay. It's funny because when the Doctor did team up with the Master, I was kind of wondering where it was going. Like he kind of had me believing that like, oh, maybe the Doctor's gonna be like teaming up with the Master now. I mean, like, not that I really thought he was gonna like become evil, but I was kind of wondering where he was going with that. And maybe it's just in my mind, like I can picture the Third Doctor being kind of mean like that, but I don't know. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is kind of cruel the way he does it, and he just kind of says, "All right, bye" to everyone there, and he's like, "Oh, Joe, well, I guess I'm gonna miss you," and then just leaves. And then he later says at the end of the story that he wasn't intending to come back.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, the whole notion of allying himself with the Master was a little bit of deception there, but he really was, trying to leave.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because that I would have thought that, I don't know, I would have figured the Doctor would want to stick around, like, because he kind of is bonded at this point with everyone, so I would have thought like, he'd come back. But I don't know, it's kind of weird to think about that he was fully prepared to just totally leave.
He doesn't really care all that much.
Yeah.
He just, at this point, he's still he's just kind of annoyed that he can't leave. And this is still fairly early in his exile. Like it's halfway through the second season of his run. So
he hasn't really bonded with anyone that much.
No, and
he'd have no problem kicking them to the curb and speeding away.
Yeah, I think he's still like this is only his third story with Joe, for instance.
Oh, okay. I guess the Doctor does have a tendency to sort of not get too attached to people and things like that, and so I guess it's not that unreasonable.
He's trying to explain the time loop, and his explanation is a time loop is it's a time loop. One passes continually through the same points in time, passes through the same. Yes. Well, yeah. He can't even come up with some decent techno babble. So that's it's true. Just like babble, actual babble.
Yeah, that's fun. It's on the one hand it's nice. Like, I mean, it's fun to like have, I don't know, Matt Smith compare things to like, oh, it's like a bubble, but it's nothing like that. Don't think about that or whatever. And like he have these really weird sort of analogies. But it's also nice to just have the Doctor just have no analogy and no explanation and just try very poorly to explain things just with words and just not doing a very good job.
So do you think the Axons should come back?
No, I don't think so.
You don't?
I don't think so.
Why?
Because they're stuck in a time loop. They can't come back. No, I don't know.
So if it was announced tomorrow that Peter Capaldi's first story would be a reunion with, and not just a reunion with, but like a battle against Axos, that would not excite you?
I don't think so. The thing of it is, I don't know. I don't think that there are any continuing story possibilities. Because, I mean, like...
Well, were there any continuing story possibilities with the Daleks at the end of the Daleks?
Well, maybe not. So, like, maybe... Well, because their ruse is up. Like, they can't do the whole consuming the Earth thing by spreading Axonite around, because everyone's going to know that Axonite's no good. So, I don't know, maybe, like, if they instead used their Axonite to build something, if it, like, something fearsome, something to attack us with, then maybe, like, if they had an Axonite robot army or something, I don't know. Maybe. But, I don't know. I get the sense that the Axons are played out.
Well, you know, if you ever do have the urge to you know, get more Axons in your life, there's a comic and an audio. There was an 11th Doctor comic with the Axons, and there was a 6th Doctor audio with the Axons.
So what do they do, or do I need to? I should just read the.
You should just, you know, look them up.
Yeah, I should.
You know, actually, it's weird because I guess those are their only other appearances in any media, and they came out within like 6 months of one another.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it coordinated, or was it just completely...
I don't know.
Like two separate people in two separate parts of Great Britain just both had ideas for Axon stories within 6 months of each other, and they both started to work on them and then published them or whatever.
I couldn't tell you. I just couldn't tell you. Because the comic was in Doctor Who magazine. It was written by Jonathan Morris, who does write audios for Big Finish from time to time, but he did not write the audio in question with the 6th Doctor.
So maybe they were like talking about the Axons in like the Big Finish break room or something.
And he got the idea.
Yeah.
They were having one of their famous Big Finish lunches.
Yes.
I would welcome the Axons back with open arms.
Oh, yeah?
if they were to return.
How do you think that they would like update the costumes at all, make them any scarier or something?
I don't know. I feel like the monster versions of them would probably have to be updated.
Probably.
But I feel like the sort of like weird golden angel things that remind me of the things from Voyage of the Damned.
Oh yeah.
But anyhow, those you could probably do something that's very much like that.
That's true.
I think you just put someone in a weirdly patterned skin-tight leotard and just paint their face gold and put weird things over their eyes, and you're good to go.
Yeah, that's really all you need. Yeah, I would say, like, yeah, when they're in their kind of weird, shapy, whatever thingies, like with the tentacles or whatever. Yeah, that's gotta be updated a little bit.
Yeah, but I think as far as like the whole aesthetic of the spaceship, like change nothing, keep it like super colorful and you know what the pattern kind of looks like a lava lamp pattern. so just play that up, just make it just whole retro 70s kind of thing, and then you know Peter Capaldi versus the Axons. I would go for that. I would watch it.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you know, I can see that, actually. I think that might work out. So I guess we've pretty much written Series 8, Episode 1.
Yep.
All right.
It would be called something Axos, because we've written out the whole plot from beginning to end. And it has to end with him saying, "It seems that I'm some kind of galactic yo-yo."
Yes, exactly.
Once a yo-yo, always a yo-yo. So this serial contains one of the most beloved and memorable minor characters of all time, Pigbin Josh.
Who was that?
He is a vagrant.
Oh!
Who appears in scenes that has music that sounds like and he goes, "Oh, a lot. And
I was wondering what was up with him.
That's what's up with him. And
okay.
I don't know. I think something about that just kind of spoke to people.
It's captivating.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know the names of any of the other characters in this without looking them up. Like I mentioned Chin earlier. That's because I had the wiki page open in front of me. But I remember the name Pigbin Josh, even though it's never mentioned on screen, just because, you know, he's someone that he's one of the things about this story that fans tend to talk about.
So wait, does he appear in any more stories?
No.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if
there
there
are other stories that feature, like, you know, charming rustic folk running into aliens.
Right.
But this is a particular example, and he never appears again.
Well, I mean, doesn't he die?
I believe he does, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he died. Well, no, this is the thing. I thought this was like the conclusion to like a trilogy or something.
The Pigbin Josh trilogy.
Exactly. I thought, like, you know, this was his final leg of his journey, and like it started with I don't know. Maybe he wasn't always this way. Maybe he used to be like some big banker type on whatever the London equivalent of Wall Street is, and you know, he lost all his money, and then, like, I don't know, he lost all his vocabulary except for OR. And yeah, and then like, so that was like part 1, and then like part 2 was like, I don't know, his slow de-evolution into madness, and then part 3 is him dying in Claws of Axos.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Okay, so we've written the Pigbin Josh trilogy.
I guess so. He was played by one of the, like, the fight choreographer on several early episodes of Doctor Who.
Okay,
including like some First Doctor ones. Like, for instance, you know how in the Aztecs, Ian becomes like a warrior guy and has to fight for his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a stunt guy. Who they decided, let's have you ride a bike and fall in a freezing pond.
Because why not?
Mm-hmm.
Well, well, there you go. So the fandom loves him, is the bottom line.
I think parts of it love him. I mean, I watched the making of featurette on the DVD, and I'm not going to say like a lot of it was devoted to Pigbin Josh, but it was like a 30-minute feature, and there was about, you know, they spent a good couple of minutes on Pigbin Josh.
That's kind of awesome. He's a lovable character.
He's sympathetic too. I mean,
he doesn't deserve the fate that he gets.
We must presume that he does not.
No, I'm a Pigbin Josh fan.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad this has been established.
You know, more than the Axons, I think Pigbin Josh needs to come back. You know, I have to say, I was a little bit, based on the title, I was expecting there to be more claws, just because, I mean, like, there were, because, there were parts where, like, they were captured, and they were held down by these sort of giant-looking lobster claw things, and I figured those would factor more into it. Like, I thought maybe, like, towards the end, like, all of the Axons would develop these claws to attack, everyone with. But it didn't happen. Not really.
Yeah, they kind of, I think the claws were more, I don't know, metaphorical.
Was it supposed to be like in like the Santa Claus, where it's not like it's actually like, this is actually a contract with Axos that features, there's a clause in it about, I don't know.
We will provide you with a certain quantity of axonite, etc. When you return something. Yeah, and there are claws. There are literal claws.
Yeah.
They burrow into earth.
Yeah.
And sort of feast upon it, but they probably could have done more with claws in this.
Yeah.
Not enough claws reads the headline of the review.
Yeah. I think that kind of goes without saying. Yeah, you figure, I mean, I know that, it's not like, I don't know. I expect the story to live up to the title, more times than not. Like, I mean, Time and the Rani featured both Time and the Rani, in pretty much equal parts, I think. So, I think, I feel like we were underwhelmed claws-wise in the Claws of Axos. I don't know.
I mean, there are more claws in the Claws of Axos than there are bells in the Bells of St. John.
That's a good point. How's it stack up for talons in the Talons of Wang Chiang? Yeah. How's it doing for talons?
I don't really know what the talon count is in Talons of Wang Chiang. Eventually we'll get to it.
I guess we'll find out. We can compare it. I guess when it comes right down to it, I was expecting more claws.
And are you marking it down because of that? Are you taking off points?
I feel like there has to be at least 1 point taken off, but it's not enough to really hurt its standing, in my opinion, because I did really like it. But no, it's, it's kind of strange because, I mean, I don't know. It's just, there's something weird because I really envisioned there to be more claws in this story. I know that sounds really ridiculous, but I was really expecting it to factor into the plot more. I don't know why. But I mean, I'm not like bothered. I'm not bothered by how the story turned out. I'm just saying the anticipation, invoked by the title, or evoked by the title, it just didn't really. It set up something in my mind that turned out to not be how it actually played out. That's what I'll say.
That's understandable. In the Mighty 200 poll.
Yeah.
This is 129.
Oh wow! So it's below average, or
yeah,
not
it's below the middle.
Yeah.
So, they're doing another poll.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Oh, are they? Oh, are they? Yes.
So the last poll was nice because it was the Mighty 200. It had like a nice. It was a nice number. It had a nice ring to it. How we don't? I mean, like, it's not like they have 300 stories now.
No, I think they're calling it like the 50-year poll or something like that.
It was lame. I mean, I guess I got to do it, but still.
Well, the number of stories is ambiguous anyway.
Oh, that's true.
Because the main points of contention are: does Shada count? Does the Trial of a Time Lord count as one story or four?
Well, wait, was Shada in the poll?
No, Shada wasn't in the poll.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
It wasn't in it last time, and it's not in it this time. So Trial of a Time Lord is counted as this time. I don't know if they did this last time because I wasn't a participant last time, but this time they're saying you have to count Trial of a Time Lord as one story, but we're also going to let you rank the individual parts if you want to. So they provide a space on the ballot for you to put those rankings, but the Trial of a Time Lord is going to be ranked on its own individual merits. On its own overall merits, but that's just there kind of to placate angry fans.
That's of course a real problem, is the need to placate angry fans.
Yes, and also Utopia is treated as the first part of a 3-parter.
Really?
As opposed to Utopia, Sound of Drums, and Last of a Time Lords is treated as a single 3-part story.
Oh, okay.
Many fans are of that opinion. That's
okay.
I don't think it is.
Well, but it has a different director and stuff, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly.
So it's not. I mean, even if it's like, that's like saying The Doctor's Daughter is part 3 of a 3-part story.
I know. It's complete. It's obviously wrong. And the reason it was ever treated as a 3-parter is because, are you familiar with Totally Doctor Who?
No.
Totally Doctor Who is kind of like Doctor Who Confidential, but it was specifically for kids.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff, some like goofy trivia stuff, and I'd never actually watched it, but I do know that they had an interview with the cast, and this is in advance of the airing of Utopia, and they mentioned how, Utopia really leads into the big finale. In some ways, you could kind of call it a 3-part story. And because I remember, I remember being there on the internet as part of the fandom when that happened. So prior to the airing of these episodes, everyone was like, "Oh my God, they're doing a 3-parter! Oh my God, it's a 3-parter!" And so the Wikipedia article was edited to reflect that it was a 3-part story, and then that became sort of the accepted narrative going into those 3 episodes, that they were a 3-part story. Even though Russell T Davies has said, on the one hand, I disagree, but on the other hand, I don't care. So that was essentially his response to it. So, but yeah, even like to this day, if you go to Wikipedia, I think it treats that as a 3-parter.
Huh. Wow.
And so does Doctor Who Magazine.
Wow. Well, there you go.
But Doctor Who Magazine is, of course, wrong.
Huh. That's really weird, though. On the one hand, it really doesn't matter.
No.
I mean, I want to say, like, wow, you'd think someone would have clarified that. But I mean, like, it really doesn't matter. You don't need, like, an official, I don't know, BBC press release to come out and say, here's what constitutes a 2-part story. Here's what, here's what, yeah, I don't know.
Well, they still haven't really clarified, Trial of a Time Lord or what the titles of the original stories are. And I mean, even, like, I guess the official title of the first story is An Unearthly Child.
Right.
But, like, it has other titles in fandom. The fans have refused to acknowledge that title. So, yeah. Anyhow, the other one that is kind of controversial is some people refer to A Good Man Goes to War and Let's Kill Hitler as a single 2-parter.
Oh, well, yeah. Wasn't that, like, rumored to be the case?
I think it was a very similar situation to Utopia, where casual comments made in advance of it caused some confusion. Except in this particular case, I think everyone eventually came to the consensus that no, these are clearly 2 separate 1-part stories. But I think there are still some people who dissent from that opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
in this case, Doctor Who Magazine does treat them as separate.
Okay.
Thank God.
Yeah, thankfully there's some sanity there. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, like, I understand it. I mean, like, I understand that, A Good Man Goes to War does kind of leave you wondering what's going to happen next, but it doesn't, like, it's not part of a single narrative. I mean, like, a lot of time passes, and I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because a lot of time passes between The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon, but it's a completely separate story. I think, I don't know, it's weird. I would have difficulty justifying it as a 2-parter. Like, I mean, if I'm watching A Good Man Goes to War, like, now, like, having seen them already, I'm not going to feel compelled to, like, keep on watching Let's Kill Hitler. Like, I mean,
no, you're gonna wait 5 months.
Exactly. Obviously.
Or however long it was, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, for the purposes of the randomized selector that we use in our podcast, Utopia is treated as its own story.
And I'm fine with that.
You damn well better be. Anyhow, the Claws
Yes.
of Axos.
Yes. Those claws. You know, something I did notice that I wasn't, like, hugely thrilled with was the music. It seemed a little bit... Maybe this was, once again... Maybe I was just under the influence of a lot of drugs, but, I don't know, it seemed kind of, like, it's really all over the place, and kind of all over the place. I don't know.
All over the place.
I wasn't wild about it. We'll say that.
Yeah, I'm not particularly crazy about the music in The Claws of Axos either. I will say that. I mean, the music in the Pertwee era tends to get a little bit weird.
I've never noticed it before. Maybe it's been just like that the whole time, and I just haven't noticed it.
I mean, I think we may have sort of not yet hit some of the weirdest parts of it.
Okay.
I think one of the most famously weird one is the Sea Devils.
Okay.
Which we've not done yet, but eventually we will.
Oh, yeah.
This one was done by Dudley Simpson.
Okay.
Who was one of the most prolific, the most prolific Doctor Who composer in the classic series, who did all kinds of stories from the Hartnell era up through the Tom Baker era. And many of his works are beloved, but some of his some of his works, especially I think the ones from the Pertwee era, are more polarizing, I would say.
Okay. So he just kind of started getting like experimental, and then and then he kind of reeled it back in.
Yeah.
Well, because at some point they must have made the switch to doing like electronic. I mean, like I haven't really paid attention to this, but like electronic kind of instruments, like, you know, this is obviously like a lot of like synthesizer stuff or something.
Yeah, I mean they kind of have always used. I mean, there's never been like a consistent house style on Doctor Who,
right?
In the classic series up through, I think in the John Nathan Turner era, starting at Tom Baker's last season, that's when they sort of made a more like concrete decision. All right, now we're moving on and we're gonna do just this, you know, electronic stuff with the you know all that stuff.
Well, because I'm trying to remember what the music. Because I guess I just don't really pay attention all that much to the music, but I'm trying to think of what it was like for like the Pertwee era, or not Pertwee era, the Hartnell era and things like that.
Well, it was kind of all over the place there in terms of sometimes they would just use stock music, sometimes they would have specially composed music, and you know it wasn't, there was no real consistency to it. And there still isn't really any consistency to it at this point in the show.
Well, I guess, you know, show about time travel, you can sort of be flexible with some stuff.
That's one thing that's very, very different about the new series, is that the music is pretty consistent.
Yeah.
It's one guy doing it in one style. There are some notable departures, I think, in style, where one episode sounds completely different, but for the most part, it's all just, you know, Murray Golding. It
is just Murray Golding. And you know what? Good on him for that.
So, Lewis.
Yes.
Shall I randomly select the story that we are going to be watching after, The Claws of Axos?
I think you shall.
All right, then I'm going to do it.
Okay.
All right, so the random selector is working its random magic, and it is randomly selecting another Big Finish audio this time. Ooh. Davros, starring the Sixth Doctor. Or starring Colin Baker as the Doctor, the sixth incarnation of the Doctor.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that features Return of Davros, or a Return of Davros.
It features a Return of Davros.
Now, I seem to recall you saying that Big Finish wasn't allowed to do anything with Davros for a while. So does that mean that this was after Series 4 aired?
No, this is long before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was before the new series even started.
Oh, well,
So yeah, there was a period of time where they were not doing anything with Davros. Yeah, actually, they didn't do anything involving Davros from 2006 through to 2012.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they did do a few things with Davros, including a couple of stories against the Sixth Doctor, one against the Eighth Doctor, And they actually did a series called I, Davros, chronicling the origins of Davros.
Ah,
which was quite good.
Really?
I certainly thought so.
Yeah. That sounds neat.
But anyhow, this is a story featuring the Sixth Doctor and Davros, and it's quite an interesting one, if you ask me.
Well then, I probably should have asked you.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you got there first. Okay, so this actually, I think, with the exception of the light at the end, which might not even really count. This would be the first time since we started doing this randomizer thing that a Sixth Doctor story has come up, even if it's just.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
So that's interesting.
I think you're right.
Well, I'm glad, but that's cool. That's cool because I like the Sixth Doctor, and I don't know. Maybe I guess I kind of miss him.
Yeah. I do miss old Sixie. As Colin Baker likes to refer to him.
Does he really?
Yeah, old Sixie.
That's kind of amazing.
This one also features Wendy Padbury, who plays Zoe in the Second Doctor era, but she's not playing Zoe. She's playing a different role.
Ah. Okay. Is she playing, like, just a minor character, or should I wait and see?
You should wait and see.
Okay. Well, I guess I will then.
It also features Bernard Horsfall, who played a couple Time Lord characters in classic series, including the War Games and the Deadly Assassin.
Ah, well, how about that?
In the War Games, he's playing the Time Lord that basically puts the Second Doctor on trial. So
Huh.
yeah, but he's not playing that character. He's just playing someone else.
Huh. Well, I guess that's exciting. I guess I'll wait and see.